Okay, so get this. Today, we are diving headfirst into the spooky history of the Whaley House.
The Whaley House.
This place, it's got more paranormal hype than a seance in a thunderstorm.
Right.
You'd think with that much buzz, there's got to be something more than just, old house noises.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
This is way more than just creaky floorboards and sickering lights. We're talking about a place where documented tragedies, architectural analysis, and firsthand accounts all point to some seriously real hauntings.
It's true. And it's not every day you get a haunted house with, like, a resume. I mean, it's got it all. We've got historical records, personal accounts, even descriptions of the ghosts themselves.
Right. It's like a recipe for a haunting.
It really is. So how do we even start to unpack a place like this?
Well, we've got to start with the basics. What is the Whaley House and what makes it so special?
Okay, so the basics.
Picture this. 1857, San Diego's Old Town, and bam, right in the heart of it, this beautiful Greek revival mansion is completed. The Whaley House.
I love Greek revival.
6 main rooms, about 3,000 square feet. Sounds pretty idyllic on paper.
Yeah, sounds lovely.
But beneath the surface of this stately home, there's a dark side.
Ooh.
A past steeped in tragedy that seems to be the driving force behind all the paranormal activity reported there.
See, that's what I find so fascinating.
Yeah.
You see these pictures, right? And it's like charming, almost picturesque, but then you hear the stories and it's like, whoa, what happened within those walls?
Right.
And get this, it gets even creepier because there's a dark history on that land even before the Whaley family shows up.
Oh, absolutely. We're talking about a site marked by death before the foundation of the house was even laid.
Okay, tell me more. This is getting good.
So the land the Whaley House is built on was actually the site of a public hanging.
No way.
A man named Yankee Jim Robinson was executed there, accused of stealing a boat.
Wow.
And here's the truly eerie part. Thomas Whaley, the man who would build this grand home, actually witnessed the execution.
Whoa, talk about a bad omen.
Right. You'd think that witnessing something like that would make you want to run in the opposite direction.
I would be looking for a new plot of land, that's for sure.
Exactly.
Seriously, why would you build your dream home on the site of a public execution?
You would think so, right?
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, that's precisely what Thomas Whaley did. And looking back, it's almost as if that decision cast a shadow over the property, foreshadowing the heartbreaking events that would forever stain the Whaley House's history.
Okay, so we're talking about more than just a few things going wrong.
Oh, yeah.
These were real, serious tragedies, the kind that leave a mark on a family, right?
Absolutely. And those tragedies, they've become a part of the house's fabric, woven into its very essence.
So what kind of tragedies are we talking about?
Well, their infant son, he tragically died from scarlet fever.
Oh, heartbreaking.
A devastating loss for any parent, especially back then.
Absolutely.
But perhaps the most significant tragedy, in terms of the house's paranormal activity at least, is the death of their daughter, Violet.
I've heard whispers about Violet.
She died by suicide in the house.
Oh, how awful.
It's a tragic event that many believe had a profound impact on the energy of the home. Like a darkness settled over the house.
A darkness that lingers to this day.
Many believe so, yes.
It's like the house itself absorbed all that sadness and grief and sorrow.
It's true.
And it's almost like the people who experienced these tragedies never really left.
Yeah, you're right. There's a belief that their spirits are still there, still lingering within the walls of the house.
So it's true then what they say about the Whaley house having, like, actual resident ghosts.
Yeah, the Whaley House has several well-known ghostly residents.
Okay, so who are these ghosts? Like, what are their stories?
Well, you got Yankee Jim, for starters.
Yankee Jim, right? The guy from the hanging way back.
Yeah, his presence is most often reported near the staircase.
Interesting.
People report hearing heavy footsteps, like he's still pacing around that area,
Oh, wow.
unable to escape the sight of his own demise.
That's creepy.
It is.
Okay, so Yankee Jim's on the stairs.
On the stairs.
And then you were talking about Anna Whaley.
Anna Whaley, right, so she's often associated with the kitchen.
The kitchen, okay.
And specifically, the smell of fresh bread or pies.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it's almost like she's still there, taking care of her family.
Yeah.
Like her comforting presence is still lingering there in the kitchen where she used to bake for her loved ones.
It's funny because when I think of ghosts, I always think of like scary stuff.
Right.
But a baking ghost? That's kind of nice.
Yeah, it's not all scary noises and cold chills at the Whaley House.
Right.
Some people find Anna's presence kind of reassuring, actually.
Yeah.
It reminds them of the warmth and the love that a family brings.
Yeah, like a family home should feel.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got Yankee Jim on the stairs, Anna in the kitchen. What about Violet?
Right. Violet.
Her presence seems a bit different, a bit sadder.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah, Violet's often sighted on the second floor of the house, specifically in the master bedroom.
Do master bed.
Yeah, and sources describe this really heavy feeling of sadness in that room.
Wow.
And she's often seen near the window, which, you think about it, a window often symbolizes this kind of longing for escape.
Oh, that's really sad.
Yeah, it is.
So what you're saying is each area of the house, the staircase, the master bedroom, the kitchen,
Right.
they all have these stories, these events, these tragedies, and they're connected to the paranormal experiences people report.
You got it. That's it. They're interwoven, the stories, the layout, the experiences, it's all connected.
Okay, so you mentioned the staircase.
Yeah.
That's where people hear Yankee Jim's footsteps.
Right.
But it's also a spot where people experience those sudden drops in temperature.
Exactly. A classic sign of paranormal activity, those cold spots.
Okay, and then the master bedroom, where Violet's often sighted,
Right.
people talk about this, like, wave of sadness that washes over them when they're in there.
Yeah, like they're tapping into the emotions that she felt.
And it's not just feelings and temperature changes, right?
No, it goes way beyond that.
Okay, what else is there?
People describe vivid things, sensory experiences.
Like what? Give me an example.
Well, like the smell of baking in the kitchen, for example. People say it's incredibly realistic, almost overwhelming.
Wow.
And then there are others who talk about being touched or feeling a sudden chill down their spine.
Okay, see, now you're just trying to freak me out.
I mean, it's true.
Have you ever felt anything like that?
Like what?
Like a presence or an unexplained chill, in a place that's supposed to be haunted. It's funny you should mention those chills and stuff because I swear I've totally felt something like that before.
Really?
Yeah, it was a while back. I was in
Wow.
Savannah, Georgia,
Savannah, okay.
which, if you don't know, is supposed to be one of the most haunted cities in America.
Oh, yeah, very haunted.
And I was in this really old antique shop, just kind of browsing. And as I'm looking at this collection of all things, vintage mirrors,
Mirror is spooky.
I get this wave of cold just washes over me.
Wow.
And not like, oh, the AC kicked on, but like a real chill,
Yeah.
Needless to say, I moved away from those mirrors pretty quickly.
I bet you did.
But it really makes you think, right?
It does.
Like, what causes these sensations, these brushes with something we can't really explain?
It's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Why are some places haunted?
Right. And is it just energy from the past? Or is it something more than that?
Yeah, is it just these echoes of emotions and events, or is it actual spirits, tied to this world for some reason?
Unfinished business, maybe.
Exactly.
And the Whaley house,
Yeah.
with all those tragedies, it feels like the perfect breeding ground for that kind of energy, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It's like all that grief and sorrow just kind of seeped into the walls.
It makes you wonder, right?
It does.
Like, what if the intensity of their grief, the Whaley family's grief, is actually what's fueling all this paranormal activity?
It's a possibility.
Like, their sorrow is resonating at a frequency that we're just now starting to understand.
Right, like we can't see it, but we can feel it.
Exactly.
And it really challenges our preconceived notions about hauntings, doesn't it?
Yeah, because we tend to think of hauntings as being inherently scary or negative.
Right.
But what if some of these hauntings, like you were saying earlier about Anna, are just expressions of something else? Loss, confusion, even attempts at communication.
It's a fascinating way to look at it, isn't it?
It really is. So to kind of recap here, we've covered a lot.
We have.
We talked about Yankee Jim, the tragedies that hit the Whaley family, those paranormal hotspots around the house.
The staircase, the master bedroom.
Even the smell of baking bread.
Right, it's not your typical haunted house story.
It really isn't. And it paints this really vivid picture, The Whaley house becomes more than just a house.
Yeah, it becomes this symbol of the power of history, the weight of grief, and all these mysteries that we might never fully understand.
Mysteries that maybe we're not supposed to fully understand.
Right, exactly.
It leaves you with a lot to think about, that's for sure.
It really does.
So if you had to choose, and you could only choose one,
Okay.
which part of the Whaley house would you be most drawn to explore, knowing everything we know now?
Ooh, that's tough.
It is tough.
I think for me, it'd have to be the master bedroom.
The master bedroom, why?
I don't know. There's just something about that idea of residual sadness.
Yeah.
An emotion that's so strong, it transcends time. It's both unsettling and really intriguing.
I can see that.
What about you?
As much as those chills freaked me out earlier, I think I'd have to go with the kitchen.
The kitchen, yeah.
I'd love to catch a whiff of Anna's baking, experience that comforting energy amongst all the spooky stories.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, what about you listening? What part of the Whaley house calls to you? Let us know because we'd love to hear your thoughts. Until next time, keep exploring the unexplained.